First panel. A tentacled parasite wraps around the king's body. The princess screams. The royal guard can't do anything. And then, from the sky, a tower appears, massive, floating. The king's corpse rises, possessed, his silhouette against that impossible structure. Classic fantasy, right? Dead king, princess to save, the heroic adventure about to begin. But this manga was drawn by Tsutomu Nihei, and Nihei hasn't done fantasy once in 30 years of his career. He's built infinite biomechanical megastructures, incomprehensible urban labyrinths, dystopias where architecture devours humanity, blame, Abara, universes where sentient machines are more protagonists than human beings. So what's he doing drawing medieval towers and kidnapped princesses? Why did an architect of cyber-gothic science fiction decide after all this time to tell a story with swords and magic? And more importantly, what happens when a master of spatial oppression has to build a fantasy dungeon? The first volume of this manga opens with the protagonist leaving home. His grandfather hands him a beat-up helmet and a wooden shield. He sets off to save the princess. End of the volume? He sets off again. Same point. It's a loop, a circular structure that shouldn't exist in a linear narrative work, yet it's there, deliberate, precise. And as you keep reading, you understand why. Tower Dungeon doesn't work like a manga. It works like a video game. A dungeon crawler where every floor of the tower is a level to complete, every monstrous creature is a boss to defeat, every potential death is a reset that brings you back to the starting point. The rhythm of the battle, the panels, the pacing, everything is constructed like a video game boss fight transposed onto paper. And when they enter a corridor, you immediately feel it. This is the arena. Something's about to happen. Nihei is using the grammar of Souls games, the level structure, methodical exploration, ritualized combat, but why would a mangaka construct the work using the syntax of a video game? There's something that connects Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian, and early 80s video games: silence. They didn't have the technology to make characters talk, so they communicated everything through gestures, environments, intuitions. Gameplay became language. Architecture told the story better than any dialogue. Nihei does the same thing. Look at how he constructs characters. Rudium, the veteran captain, doesn't have flashbacks about his life as a soldier. You understand it from his posture, from how he holds his sword. Every family, every ethnic group has distinctive symbols on their clothes. Juva has a cross with squares on his collar. The country folk always have those squares. When he becomes a soldier, he wears the uniform over his original clothes. You don't need a single line of dialogue to understand. Those symbols tell of belonging, identity, social stratification. The world building happens through visual details, not exposition dumps. It's the same logic as video games that couldn't talk. Show everything, explain nothing. The monolithic architectures, the incomprehensible urban corridors of Blam, become infinite stairs and pointed arches in the tower. The biomechanical guardians become tentacled parasites. But the emotional structure is identical. Enormous spaces that oppress the characters, narrative silence, monsters emerging from the void. Nihei has always been a master at conveying a feeling of contradiction. These spaces are fascinating when considered empty, but become oppressive when they're full of monstrous creatures. The tower is beautiful, a crumbling Laputa floating in the sky, and at the same time it crushes you. It's too big, too vertical, too full of latent horror. It's the same feeling as the infinite megastructures of Blam, except instead of steel and cables you have stone and wood. And here's the genius of the operation. Nihei hasn't betrayed his poetics, he's translated it. Architecture remains the protagonist, space remains the moral law of the universe. The layers of the abyss and Maiden Abyss are a physical curse. The levels of the tower are a vertical prison that swallows floor by floor. Fantasy is just the language. The substance is always the same. Oppression through space. Nihei's early works were dense panels, almost claustrophobic. Blame was chaotic hatching, omnipresent use of blacks. Beautiful but alienating. His family couldn't understand his comics. Over the years, he dried out the mark. He became minimal, essential. Tower Dungeon is the top of this evolution. The blacks return, but the hatching disappears. The panels breathe. And here's something interesting happens. The line work looks like a beginner's. The line art isn't clean. There are disconnections between strokes, lines that don't close. The characters' clothes, ink blots, literally. Yet you perceive the volumes, the softness of fabric, the weight of wide-brimmed hats, the softness of collars. Nihei understood that you don't need to fill every inch to communicate physical presence. It's not just simplifying. It's the difference between a young artist who doesn't know where to put lines and a master who knows exactly which lines aren't needed. The contrast between black and white becomes super strong. The figures emerge with absolute clarity. And the tower has a presence in the panels you can't ignore. It towers over you. It oppresses you. It's a character made of stone and silence. Nihei was an architect before he was a mangaka, and it shows. He doesn't draw backgrounds. He designs spaces that have a precise emotional impact. Yuva, a country boy, physically strong as hell, unnatural strength for a simple farmer, receives from his grandfather a beat-up helmet and a wooden shield. Sets off without hesitation. He's empty, an archetype, a blank canvas, and it might seem like a flaw. Where are the elaborate backstories? Where are the deep emotional bonds? Where are the moments of vulnerability that make you care about the character? But here's the point. Nihei doesn't ask you to care about Yuva. He asks you to become Yuva. It's the same logic as Souls game protagonists. The chosen undead, the hunter, the ashen one. They're containers for the player's experience. They have no personality because you provide the personality. And the other characters? Rudium the wise veteran, the ranger, Lilician the impulsive mage, and the tank too. They're functional archetypes, an RPG party. They do their job, fight, advance, survive. They don't have elaborate backstories because they don't need them. Tower Dungeon isn't a drama about human bonds. It's an immersive experience inside an architectural nightmare. This intentional simplicity avoids cumbersome backstories to privilege the core element: space, atmospheres, the vertical oppression of the tower. The king possessed by the parasite, the gothic silhouette against the sky. It's Logarius on the roof of Cainhurst Castle. Bloodborne's impact on this manga is obvious. We have cosmic horror masked as Victorian Gothic, flesh mixing with something alien, something wrong. The parasite taking the king's body, the slime with the sentient creature inside. These are images that evoke the amygdalae, the great ones, that sense of wrongness, of something that shouldn't exist, but does. And the splash pages have that unsettling quality of De Chirico's works. Infinite stairs that seem to lead nowhere, impossible perspectives, disgusting creatures filling the frame, silences charged with tension before the attack. It's body horror done through architecture. The environment becomes hostile not because it's dangerous, but because it's wrong. The tower shouldn't exist, it shouldn't float, it shouldn't have that shape. And when you're inside it, you perceive that visceral wrongness. So what's really happening with Tower Dungeon? Nihei spent 30 years building universes where architecture oppresses humanity. Vertical megastructures, urban labyrinths, spaces so vast they become incomprehensible. Science fiction was just a vehicle. The real theme has always been the same: the human being crushed by something bigger. Tower Dungeon is the pure distillation of this poetics. No more sentient machines, no more futuristic technology, just stone, stairs, horror. Oppression in its most elemental form. It's Nihei's most accessible manga because he removed all the noise. The line work is clean, the characters are readable, the plot is linear. An entry point into Nihei's universe, this is the moment. Way more immediate than Blame, less alienating, more direct. But with all the visual power, all the spatial oppression, all the atmosphere that made Nihei one of the masters of contemporary manga, Tower Dungeon isn't an isekai. It's not a fantasy epic. It's the essence of architecture as narrative language. It's a dungeon crawler that exists to make you feel small, crushed, oppressed by something vertically impossible. If you want infinite silence and a good manga to get into Nihei, Tower Dungeon is a must-read for you.